live and direct from the Golden State. It's intelligent talk media, the Denice Gary Show. Now, here's Denice Gary.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Denice Gary Show. I'm just so happy to have the owner of Tehachapi Court Services, Barb Reynolds Wallstrom, and former city councilman, Denice Wallstrom. Denice, not only are you the former city councilman there in the city of Tehachapi, but you also were in charge of the city's water department for years.
That's correct, Denise.
Okay, thank you so much. I am so glad the two of you are here today.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
We have got so much to talk about.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it's... Before we get into the swap that is indicative of the city of Tehachapi today, I want to talk about what just transpired yesterday. I think all of us have probably heard by now, a 24-year-old illegal immigrant has now stabbed to death a woman. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a man who was in the country illegally, had a lengthy criminal history across California, and of course, sanctuary policies here in the state of California do not allow ICE agents who, request for these criminal illegal aliens to be held, so that an ICE officer or officers can go retrieve them and keep them behind bars to protect you and I that are living here in the state of California. So once again, we have a criminal illegal alien that's been deported numerous times. And Barb, you said it, and he's being protected once again.
And it's tragic that there is no longer any allowed communication between ICE and law enforcement. That's just incomprehensible. But
well, this is, ladies and gentlemen, you voted for a Democrat, some of you,
yes,
and this is what we have. This is what we have under democracy here in the state of California, is people like Gavin Newsom, a Democrat, who's not following federal law. And this is my question. You're a paralegal. You've been involved in law for many years. And Denice, you've been involved in politics, city politics for years and years and years as well. I want to know, why is it that the DOJ, the federal government, federal law supersedes state and local law?
Absolutely.
You know that. You know that.
On some, yeah.
So how is it that the state of California can prohibit police and members of the sheriff's department, in counties up and down the state, from being able to talk to these illegal criminal aliens that already have a criminal record and are here in the country?
And that's the problem, is that there's states' rights, and states need their rights.
I
They isolate
understand
themselves from the federal law when federal law gets nutty like it is now. But it is state law that the federal government protects us from invasion and
From enemies, both foreign and domestic. That's what the Constitution says. From enemies, both foreign and domestic.
For what reason that the federal government doesn't come down on this is
What is the reason?
There is no reason.
The reason
There
is
is no
you've got
reason.
liberal courts, you've got the Ninth Circuit here.
And President Trump, ladies and gentlemen, by the way, just nominated a conservative to the Ninth Circuit Court. Did you hear that? Hallelujah. The president has nominated a conservative to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals here in the state of California. So let's get that approved.
There's going to be some tears there on the Ninth Circuit.
Oh, Kamala Harris and Dianne Feinstein, I read it in the paper. They were not in the Bakersfield, California, but in one of, probably the New York Times, I was reading it. They went to appeal to the President of the United States. Don't send this conservative down here, but the President isn't going to be interested in what a liberal progressive like Dianne Feinstein and Kamala Harris have to say, because after all, they're supporting the sanctuary policies that allow these illegal criminal aliens to run free in the state of California. But yet, my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, let's not let's allow these criminal legal immigrants to run free, but let's not protect the unborn that inconvenience women, so they have to run out and kill the innocent infants that are lying there in their mother's womb.
But how does Gavin Newsom reconcile what he's doing?
I don't know. You know, Gavin Newsom last night, I want to get your thoughts on this. Hang on. I want to, ladies and gentlemen, just double checking the stats. In the last 2 years, there's been 266,000 arrests of criminal illegal aliens. And 100,000 of them were for assaults, 30,000 sex crimes, 30,000 sex crimes.
Yeah. They were confirmed criminals.
4,000, right,
Yeah,
we're
they were
talking
confirmed
about
criminals.
266,000 arrests of people coming here illegally that are criminal illegal aliens. And then catch this, since 2019, illegal immigrants, 206, well, maybe the fiscal year started before January 2019, but 268,000. 268,000, and those are illegal immigrants, okay? 260 illegal immigrants being arrested, and then we've got 266,000 that are already criminal legal aliens. To me, they're all criminals because they're violating federal law.
Yeah, but the statistics are talking about those that have committed serious.
The first
felonies.
statistic, 266,000, those are criminal illegal aliens. The 268,000 are just, they're people that broke the law and came here illegally. Dennis, you wanted to say something?
I do. You know, if you have 12 million people like we have in California, and you have one man that stands against the 12 million, whose fault is it?
Yeah,
It's
right.
our fault.
Right, it's our fault.
Because
It's our
we don't
fault because
stop
we
it and
voted
shut it
Democrats
down
into
now.
office. I did it,
Correct.
I
No,
didn't,
of course we
and
did.
you didn't, and
Of course we
you know.
did.
and my producer didn't.
But the fact is that when we get enough, I guess, when we get a belly full, we'll say it.
You
And
think
we'll make it happen.
4,000 violent killings would be enough for
You
people?
don't think so,
so.
but it's not your next door neighbor, and it's not the guy down the street,
And
and
you
it's
think-
not anybody you know.
That's true.
Unfortunately, it's somebody that somebody knows. It's somebody's child. It's somebody's
Right,
husband. It's
this
somebody's
woman,
wife.
this
you know.
woman had a family. I'm sure she
Yeah.
had a family.
Yeah.
She did.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to pass that on. And this guy, he's 24 years old, from El Salvador. He's admitted that he's a gang member. A 24-year-old gang member. He's been convicted of more than 10 crimes in 3 years. More than 10 crimes in 3 years. And the police department, the sheriff's department, nobody could get any cooperation. Why? Because Democrats are controlling the state of California.
So what's the status of him now? Do they have him in custody or?
Or do they give him a medal? Or what do they do?
Did they give him a medal? You know what, I'm
Oh, God.
assuming,
They still have him in
I'm
custody? but
I'm
they
imagining
can't
that
deport
they have him in custody. You know, this doesn't say, and I'm looking at,
him. Well, we'll have to keep
right.
on top of that.
If you want to read about this was in the San Francisco Chronicle. So I picked this up out of the San Francisco Chronicle. Yesterday's paper, ladies and gentlemen, March 12th. The title of it is ICE, 24-year-old man suspected, well, they know he's killed this San Jose woman. He's in the U.S. illegally, already committed 10 crimes in just 3 years. And Gavin Newsom just came out again last night. I want to get your thoughts on this. Gavin Newsom has come out and said he's poised to sign an executive order to stop California's death penalty. Barbara, you look ready to go. We'll start with Barb, and then we'll go to you, Dennis.
I find it's startling.
It's startling.
That the issue of death does not persuade him when it comes to babies that are born. That can be
Infanticide.
annihilated.
Right.
Infanticide, of course. And I find it also interesting that how that perhaps would dovetail into the question of prison privatization, which is huge business. There are several organizations I know in the Los Angeles County area that have retired judges, that have retired lawyers, and other professionals that are going into the inner city schools and are tutoring the students, particularly those that are nearing the 4th grade level, because there are statistics and algorithms that track students once they enter the 4th grade to make a determination as to whether or not they have the propensity toward crime, and therefore the private prisons build their statistics and their number of beds and a number of buildings that they need based upon those projections. So these are facts that are known within the inner city, and I'm glad that there are organizations trying to abate that.
Let me understand this. Denice, are you aware of this as well? The
Yeah.
judges? Okay.
Yeah.
So let me restate what I think I just heard, and then Denice, I want you to comment. I think what I just heard you say was that retired judges and law enforcement personnel are going into the schools, the elementary schools,
Yeah.
the middle schools?
And they're tutoring the students to get their grades up.
They're tutoring the students.
Right,
but
before the 4th grade.
But you added something else to that. You said they're also, in essence, surveying these students?
Oh, yes. To determine whether or not they have a propensity toward crime, and based upon those,
How do they do that?
if there's some type of statistic that they get in terms of what the reading level is, the performance level of the student up to the 4th grade. And once they get there and they still appear problematic, rather than a reversal of that, those students are targeted through high school, and many...
To try to prevent them from falling through the cracks?
That's what the tutors are for, is
Okay,
to prevent
okay,
them,
all
to
right.
give them a head start and have them understand the imperative that they must begin
that's
to
good.
perform, because otherwise they're targeted for these private prisons.
Thank you for that, Denice.
That's a scary thought.
That is a
when you think about it.
Right.
However, if there was any planning within the state of California, and there's not much. Look at your water situation. There's not much planning. However, this is pre-planning. And as much as it's intrusive on your children, and it looks like indoctrination, I can't say it's not. I'm thinking that there's a little, but to actually gauge how many prisons you have to make based on 4th graders.
That's chilling.
What does that say about us? What's it say?
Well, it says somebody stands to make a lot of money.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess if they go out and build another
Yeah.
private prison.
There's an organization in LA called the 100 Black Men. Sidney Poitier is a member. They're very high
He's a
level.
radical
They're high
leftist.
level.
No.
They're a high level judges, lawyers in that organization.
I thought
that
Sidney
go out
Poitier
and
is-
tutor the students.
I thought Sidney Poitier was very far left
You know what?
wing.
I stand corrected. I'm thinking of
No, Sidney Poitier,
Yeah.
I believe he is a liberal progressive in the strongest sense of the term.
it could be.
Well, he could
Yeah, absolutely. I've heard him say
Yeah,
some.
misguided.
Okay. All right, so let's move on. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I hope you'll do with this information. I'm not giving you this information just to frustrate you and make you feel like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? What I would like you to do is, well, first of all, I want to share something that Mike Pence, our vice president, on this issue, talked about. He just went, Mike Pence today was at the Harper's Ferry in West Virginia. He was at the Border Protection Advanced Training Facility talking to ICE officials and the rank and file and border protection and border protection agents. And one of the things, he mentioned in talking to them was more than 2,000 illegal immigrants are apprehended every day on the southern border, and that the Border Patrol, going back to that figure I mentioned earlier, he cited it in his talk today, that 268,000 since the beginning of the fiscal year have, been apprehended or arrested. And then he goes on to say that we need to pray. I thought that was important, that the Vice President of the United States, in a in a time where there's a humanitarian crisis at the border, would ask the nation to pray. This is what he said today. He said, my prayer will simply be that in those ancient words, that in the days ahead as you train here, and as you prepare to return to the front lines of enforcing our laws and securing our border, that no harm would overtake you, that no disaster would come near you, and that He, God, will guard you in all your ways as you guard and secure this great nation. And I thought,
How refreshing.
how refreshing,
It really is.
how lovely
This is his
to the
faith.
vice president to call people and to tell those people that he's going to be praying for them.
What a man.
And he said that the president had sent them there, and that it was under the president's leadership and the president's support, and the president's support of the American people. Not about color, it's not about ethnicity, it's not about race, but that the president sent him there to show his support for the American people, and that with God's help, we will secure our border and we will end the crisis at the southern border. And I thought about that woman that was killed because California couldn't care less
Build a wall.
about protecting the people of this great state. So the president and the vice president, it seems as though they are standing together as a team against all of the individuals, the Democrats, the never-Trumpers, those people that are even in the Republican Party that would not be supportive of securing our border. And so this is what I want you to do, ladies and gentlemen. Call to action. I would like you, if you're somebody that tweets as I do, I'd like you to thank the president and the vice president for doing everything they can to secure the border. I want you to then tweet out or email or make a telephone call to Nancy Pelosi, Kamala Harris, Dianne Feinstein. All their numbers are in the front of your telephone book. You can look them all up. They're right there, right?
Yes.
In the front of everybody's telephone book. You can look it up. Give them a call. Say, you're praying for them. You really would hope that they would get behind the President of the United States, who's trying to prevent some poor woman from being stabbed to death in her home by a criminal illegal after we've already arrested over 266,000. Could they please protect the people of the United States of America? Ladies and gentlemen, this segment we've got, my producer's holding up a sign, recall Gavin Newsom from office. I think that's a great idea. And if there's people out there and you've got the money and the resources and time, I will do everything I can to support you and help you. I think there's two people up there we've got to recall. Javier Becerra, California Attorney General, who has promised to prosecute our sheriff here in Kern County, Sheriff Youngblood. And Javier Becerra, yes, Javier Becerra, yes, because Sheriff Youngblood,
Oh, he made a stance.
no, Sheriff Youngblood's gone up there to talk to him.
Good.
Other sheriffs have gone up there to talk to our attorney. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Attorney General Javier Becerra, strong Democrat, liberal progressive. Sheriffs have gone up there and police chiefs have gone up there to say, you need to help us protect our people in our counties.
Absolutely.
And Javier Becerra told them, our Attorney General, you better follow the law, forget the federal law, forget that law that supersedes all state and local laws. You better follow the law or you'll come under the authority and jurisdiction of this state. We will arrest you. Oh, yeah. Sheriff Youngblood says there is nothing I can do because he'll be reported and Javier Becerra will go after him. That's our sheriff.
Well, Denise, I think this
That's our
is a
Attorney
case of people that have grown up with no morals
Yes.
and are letting other people in with that haven't, for whatever reason, in a third world country, haven't been able to gain those morals.
Right.
And they don't see anything wrong with it. They don't see anything wrong with it.
It's
How about we
scary.
make an executive order? You don't kill anybody. Not a death sentence, but you don't stab anybody. How about that?
I
think we have one.
Yeah, it's called the Ten
Commandments.
Commandments.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What novel thoughts?
yeah, we've got that. And that's what this country was founded
Yes,
on, our Judeo-Christian
Judeo-Christian.
tradition.
This is what happens
And thank
when
you for
people-
reminding
when
everybody.
People won't assimilate. Because we have a certain set of morals. We are a
Judeo-Christian country.
That's right.
And that's not being assimilated to.
No, they
It's
won't
good.
do that.
It's good. And as long as that's not, it's going to be this and worse. It's not going to get better.
It's so good to
Because
have.
you're going to impose your own culture.
Gavin's
That's what's
mama needs to
happening.
get that belt off and give him a couple licks. That's what
Ladies
you've gone way too long without him.
He needs a spanking.
Dennis Wallstrom, former director, is that correct, of the Tehachapi Public Works, and the president of Tehachapi Court Services, Barb Reynolds Wallstrom. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the Denice Gary Show. What a pleasure to be with all of you today. We'll be right back on talking about draining the swamp in a city right here in Kern County, California. We'll be right back.
I want to tell you about a place I love to go. Frugatti's Italian Restaurant. Very few locations here provide seating outside in front of a fabulous water fountain with an atmosphere that is reminiscent to me of eating outdoors in Venice. This is real Italian food by real Italians. And what makes it even more so is owner Ralph Frugaletti, who nearly a quarter century ago brought a wood fire oven from Milan, Italy to make, like his mother, fresh homemade bread and pizzas. Moreover, Frugatti's Restaurant offers you not only the very best in Southern Italian cooking, even importing the finest ingredients for authentic Italian food, including a fitness menu. After all, Ralph has represented the United States and Italy, competing in the Master Championship Games. He knows all the right food for good fitness, so check out the menu. After today's broadcast, run over to Frugatti's Italian Restaurant and Catering at 600 Coffee Road here in Bakersfield. And after a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday service, stop into Frugatti's for a great lunch. I'll see you there, and tell Mr. Ralph Frugaletti that Denise sent you. Salute. Bon appetito.
Ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to legal matters, contact Barb Reynolds. She is a contract paralegal to lawyers, and she will take good care of you. Moreover, she is a Kern County legal document assistant to pro per litigants. She has 47 years of paralegal experience, and for over 30 years has been an educator in the field of law and paralegal work. If you need help handling your adoption, bankruptcy, civil suit, divorce, debt consolidation, evictions, immigration, or attorney referrals, contact Barb Reynolds if you want to win your case. Call Tehachapi Court Services today at 661-822-1994. Barb is simply the best. Call Tehachapi Court Services today at 661-822-1994.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm so thrilled I've got the owner of Scope 365 Fitness here with me today, Craig Jansen, Navy veteran. Craig, tell the audience out there why everybody in town needs to come up over here and join.
Well, Sculpt 365 is a 24-hour club, so we never close, unlike a lot of other clubs here in town. Additionally, our club is always super clean, and one of the things that you're going to find here is a different environment. We strive to give you a VIP experience here, so we want to get to know you, we want to know your story, we want to know about you, and how we can help you succeed and meet all of your fitness goals.
Wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, come on down to Scope 365 Fitness. You're located right here on Brim Hall. Tell us your other locations.
We have another location up in Tehachapi, and then our third location here in town is also located over on Chester and Columbus in the Food Mac Shopping Center.
Thank you so much, Craig. You have a wonderful day.
You too. Thank you.
This is my song.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Denice Gary Show. It's so good to be with all of you today and with my wonderful guests. I just love having Barb Reynolds Wallstrom and her husband, former City Council member Denice Wallstrom. Thank you for driving all the way from Tehachapi to be in studio with me here in Bakersfield, Kern County.
Thanks for sharing us with the world.
Oh, well,
Thank you, Denise.
I'm happy to do it. We do, by the way. We have people all over the world that watch our show, and it's so interesting. And I love it that people in Israel watch this broadcast.
Really?
I sent out, ladies and gentlemen, remember to tell your friends and family and colleagues. If they don't do Facebook, that's fine. You can go on my YouTube channel, The Denice Gary Show, watch this broadcast on YouTube. You can go to iTunes, you can go to SoundCloud, and you can go to Talk America Live. That's an internet radio broadcast, and hear me there. I want to say about Sculpt 365, the commercial you just heard. Craig Jansen, former Navy veteran, is offering a special this month, a really, I think, fabulous special. Not only is it 0% down to enroll in Sculpt 365 Fitness, he's giving the first 6 months half off on dues for the first 6 months. So you need to go support. I hope you'll go and support a military veteran, a Navy veteran, Craig Jansen at Sculpt 364. And of course, you want to call Barb Reynolds at Tehachapi Court Services. Barb, give the audience your telephone number there.
It's area code 661-805-3306. And we look forward to your telephone call anytime that we can be of assistance to you. We're more than happy to assist.
Ladies and gentlemen, Barb's the best. Give her a call. Okay, Denice, Barb, let's talk about draining the swamp up there in Tehachapi.
Let's go.
Okay, so we're going to play a sound bite from Channel 17.
17.
I thought that was 23 that we, no?
It was
Okay.
23 up there, but 17 is the one that broadcast.
Okay, so Channel 17, KGET, concerning a current council member, Ken Hetke. And let's just play that. Let's go from there.
Kenneth Hetke was elected to the council in November 2016, representing District 2. But to date, he faces 7 complaints of harassment from coworkers.
That employee, up until the gender harassment complaint came in, feared for his safety, feared for his job.
We need to have order.
7 complaints just like this were filed against Kenneth Hetke, a Tehachapi City Council member who served for more than 2 years.
The question that
He's kind of gruff. There's nothing wrong with that, if that's his personality.
In the city's investigation, complaints of gender harassment and harassment based on ethnicity were unfounded, but 4 other complaints of bullying were sustained.
It makes you feel validated. You shouldn't just get over it. This is happening to multiple people, and it should be brought forward.
there's a big difference between being a bully and being assertive, or being asking hard questions and demanding answers.
These claims of bullying included creating a hostile work environment, undermining positions, and making people fear retaliation, according to Attorney Maddox. But nearly a dozen attendees spoke up in Hetke's defense.
You're accusing him of bullying. I think you all are bullies.
This has been a witch hunt from day one.
Ladies and gentlemen, one of the reasons why I wanted to have Barb and Denice here with us today is because when I heard about this, I thought to myself, this is a free speech issue. It's my understanding, and I'm going to have Barb and Denice jump right in a few minutes here, but it's my understanding that Councilman Ken Hetke was deeply concerned about preparedness in the case of an active shooter on an elementary and middle school campus in Tehachapi. And that it's my understanding that in an attempt, and Denice Wallstrom was there with him, supporting him, in an attempt to try to understand what measures, what policies were currently in place to handle this particular issue, i.e. a shooter that was shooting at the children of Tehachapi, and in asking some of the questions regarding those policies and practices that were in place, he was shunned and criticized and then accused of harassment and bullying. And ladies and gentlemen, we see this on the part of Democrats across the board and around the nation. President Trump has stood up and talked about things. Republicans stand up and talk about things, and yet when they try to talk about and look into the issues, they're called homophobic, they're called misogynistic, they're called racist, and yet it seems like people that represent the Judeo-Christian values that Denice so wonderfully, pointed to in the first segment, it seems like when we try to look at really important, serious issues, that people tend to become paranoid, very critical, and accuse you of things like racism. He was accused of bullying. He was accused of harassment. It's getting to the point where anytime anybody, especially on the right, asks an intelligent question of somebody that doesn't want to face the issues, you're immediately you're immediately called a racist, a bigot, a homophobic, or some other ugly, vicious name. I think it's ridiculous, and I wanted you to be here because
Suffered Islamophobia. Had there been Muslims there, they would have called him that too.
Yeah, Islamophobic. So, ladies and gentlemen, one other thing I wanted to mention is I know Ken Hetke personally. He opened up his facility up in Tehachapi, his airport hangar where he has his business, has his business. And he opened it up to provide a public forum, invited the entire city of Tehachapi to come out to his hangar and hear candidates speak to the issues confronting the city of Tehachapi. I thought that was beautiful, and of course supporting free speech, and of course supporting what is so important, and that is getting those candidates out there to talk about the issues. And he's been nothing, Ken Hetke has been nothing but very polite and kind and thoughtful. And oh, by the way, when I checked out his reviews as a businessman in the city of Tehachapi, there is nothing but rave reviews for him with respect to the help that he has provided. There hasn't been a stain on his reputation until the city of Tehachapi got scared that he was asking about and making inquiries as a city councilman. Are we prepared for an active shooter? Denice, I want to start with you. What is your thoughts on this?
I'd like to say that Ken Hetke, Councilman Hetke, probably one of the most honest people I've ever met.
Yeah.
And probably the most honest person I'll ever meet. He's not afraid to say something when he has a concern, and he'll do just that. An honest politician's worth $1 million, but an honest politician that's quiet isn't worth a damn, and that's not Ken. Ken will tell you what he thinks. He'll suggest what he thinks, but he doesn't overbear anybody. I mean, if you ask an employee to do their job by handing them a piece of paper and asking them to transfer it to somebody else, because Ken can't get into City Hall. His key card, unlike mine, we're the only ones that don't work.
They have no access to City Hall.
Anyway.
So the two conservative,
no access,
thought-provoking people that make inquiries to make sure that the people of the city of Tehachapi are represented in an exemplary way don't have key cards that work to City Hall. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, he asks questions. We'll get a packet on our computers. Well, they don't do that anymore because one of the new arrivals doesn't like computers, so it's got to be paper now. But we'll get it.
Who is that that doesn't want to have things computerized?
Councilwoman Pogancourt.
That's the one that took his position. She's not computer savvy.
Okay.
Okay.
But there'll be 168 pages. Ken will read every single one. He'll read all the contracts for all the projects that we have.
For the city of Tehachapi.
And because he used to do that in the aerospace industry.
Right.
So, and there's been times when the language has been changed just a little bit by his suggestion.
Sure.
You know, that's
Why
his
not?
job.
He's a city
That's his
council
job.
member.
That's his job.
Yeah.
And the fact that we tried to, well, let me preface that by saying that Barb's grandchildren and mine, they go to that school where there was a suspected alleged
Oh, there
active
was a
shooter,
suspected
They shut down the entire
which is a
school.
block away from us.
Yeah.
Oh,
So, now-
so it's personal with
So
you.
it was
very personal.
We were very concerned.
No, I'm not going to call it personal. We
Oh,
live
okay.
on an area to where this is our house.
Uh-huh.
We're right in the middle of the block. City councilman's house, you got a target on it. So people are going to come and ask.
Exactly.
There's a lot of
That's what
kids in the
happened.
neighborhood, you know.
Oh, yeah.
8 o'clock in the morning, it's like the freeway with the kids.
And their parents were very concerned. What's going on?
So, we asked, simply, Ken asked, and was told that he couldn't get a reply of what our policy, we just want to know the policy. We didn't want to know the incidentals. We didn't know how they were going to handle these things.
So
We
you
just
weren't
wanted to know
making
our policy.
inquiries about policies and
Which
practices?
is our job, and it says it in the ordinance.
Right.
We can inquire of any department head or employee as long as it's for information. We cannot give them orders, and we don't.
Well, why
We cannot
would-
suggest they
Right.
change their way, and we
Right.
don't.
Right. But you have to know, because you have to be able to work with.
We have to answer people that elected us.
That's
Right, and you-
They can't do their job.
We didn't get traction with one, so we said, well, let's pile on another one, you know? And so Ken and I both got into it. And what we were told is that, in a memo, is that there's a possibility, hypothetically, you could accidentally speak to another council member about this. And our intent was to put it on the agenda, so
Excellent.
everybody could hear what our policy was.
Mm-hmm.
And as it turns out, our policy was great. The
Your
chief of
policy, you mean the city of Tehachapi's
for
policy?
these kind of things.
Okay, so
And
you
for
were
the backup that we're
pleased
going
with
to get,
what
and
you-
who's going to be
Okay.
the backup,
All
the
right.
police chief did an excellent job on it. Excellent job.
So there you
And,
are,
and,
affirming
and
them.
all he had to do was say, okay, a 3-second speech. The Brown Act is pounded into our bones. It's been
Tell the people what the Brown Act is.
the Brown Act is that there can never be a majority of council people talking about one specific issue, because that can sway a vote. So, and that's the way we want it. You know, you don't
And
want
that's
to have
the Brown Act.
a group grouping in there and you know.
But he's
it's
known
not
that
so
for 20 years. He's known that.
So,
So I don't
What would
understand.
be a Brown violation?
So let's talk about the.
I might have accidentally, or Ken might have accidentally said that. Well, I don't accidentally run stop signs, and I don't accidentally spit in the wind.
No, so
Yeah, I mean,
hypothetically,
that's something that's ingrained in you. You do not do that if you're a council person.
And they didn't provide them
wouldn't
the
have.
information because of a hypothetical?
So we went out elsewhere and asked what their policies. Now, these are the second responders.
You went to Sheriff Youngblood here in Kern County.
And the highway patrol, because they're the second responders
Okay.
on request. You know, the sheriff is one with the SWAT team, not us.
Right.
So
It
we
makes sense.
asked what their policy was, not what their policy to the city was, but what their policy was. That's all we asked them,
And that seems very reasonable.
doesn't it, though?
Yes, absolutely.
I'm really
Ladies
sorry.
and gentlemen, we've got to take a break. We will be right back with Denice Wallstrom and Barb Reynolds Wallstrom on talking about draining the swamp in the city of Tehachapi.
Trump has correctly stated that economic security is national security. And in the Tehachapi Mountains of Kern County resides a United States defense contractor, Denice Products. Here is the Silicon Valley of the aerospace industry, right here in East Kern. Denice Products is a forward-leaning manufacturer and distributor of hardware sold to major defense and aerospace companies. We're talking about Boeing, Lockheed Martin, United Technologies, Northrop Grumman, Raytheon General Electric, and on the list goes. shows, as well as to every United States ally worldwide, including Israel, America's most important strategic ally in the Middle East. And for everything that flies, Anatase Products is providing the parts. And with me today is the president of Anatase Products, Scott Baker. Hi, Scott.
How you doing?
Scott, tell us why you believe this corner of Kern County is the hub of the aerospace industry.
Well, this portion of Southern California here out in the Antelope Valley, it contains, some of the most cutting edge technology going on in aviation today. We have some of the UCAS programs with unmanned technologies going on. We have Edwards Air Force Base out here who's doing continual testing in their area. We have the Naval Weapons Station up there at China Lake doing some fantastic cutting edge stuff, cruise missile technology, and those things are going on. We have Scale Composites locally doing a lot of composite technology, which is new. We have SpaceX, which is a private one, putting a private entity putting things into space now. This area is the growth center for aviation's future, and this is the area I think that as a nation we need to be concentrating some of our effort and taking this technology. And as we all know, with the space program from Apollo years ago, out of these technologies, we the private sector are going to reap some of the benefits of that.
Thank you, Scott. Ladies and gentlemen, Scott Baker, president of Anatase Products. Anatase Products, located in the beautiful mountains of Tehachapi, California, in eastern Kern County, is home to some of the most innovative and specialized technologies in the world, including those at the U.S. Naval Air Warfare Center, Weapons Division at China Lake, Edwards Air Force Base, as well as Stratolaunch, launching satellites capable of delivering multiple orbits in a single flight to space. And it is Anatase Products that has provided the manufactured devices. And the president, Scott Baker of Anatase Products, Marine Corps veteran, reactivated on 9/11 to monitor threats to the homeland, is carrying on a tradition of providing for the security of the United States by manufacturing every kind of fastener on anything that flies, as well as providing a full testing destructive laboratory. Contact Anatase Products, now in business for 30 years, at 661-822-6873. Located at 1314 Goodrich Drive in Tehachapi for your manufacturing and testing needs today.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Denise Gary Show. I think we're having too much fun here in studio today. Denice, I want to go back to you, put you on the hot seat for just a moment.
Do it.
Tell us a little bit more. You're talking about the Brown Act. I want to make sure the audience understands that administrators, city administrators, I'm going to say city manager and city administrators. It's my understanding they really went after Ken. Because you and Ken were trying to make these inquiries. They went after Ken because he's still a city council member and you are not. So you've retired from the city council, but Ken's still on it, so they really go after Ken for trying to get some information. Let's be clear. Now the Brown Act says that a majority of council members, that means you and Ken together, couldn't actually talk to a city administrator or another city official about what?
A department head.
A department head about issues concerning the city. Do I understand that correctly?
That was what else am I going to make of that? We can't talk to you because
you're two of you men as city council member are sitting there trying to get some information from a department head in the city of Tehachapi,
and that might come before the council.
That might come before
it's a Brown violation.
It's a Brown violation. So let me ask you what the resolution is.
No, that's not exactly the way it is.
Oh, okay. Tell me what it is.
As long as it comes before the whole city council, without more than a majority speaking with it. I can speak with Ken anytime or any other council meeting.
Okay.
But as long as there's not a majority, then we're good to go.
Yeah, but if it is,
But as long
How is that a majority for you and Ken to talk
it's
to a
not.
department
But
head?
it was hypothetical. What if you did? What if
That's
you
what
did
they
talk to
said.
somebody? We're not going to. We know
So
we're not
they
supposed to.
said
We're not going to do.
Oh, okay.
It's
Finally, the
hypothetical.
light is dawning.
Yes.
So what's your so
You could talk to a third person, in which case, that's a Brown violation.
so they,
If they got,
so these people
they go
off
across
in
the street,
city.
shoot somebody, but you might do it too. So you're going to take my gun away? No, that's not going to do it.
Precious snowflakes, just precious.
So wow.
Because
So city administrators said to you and Ken
Oh, yeah.
it came
You
in a
wrote a
memo
letter.
from
Yeah,
the
it's a
attorney.
memo from the attorney.
that we don't want to talk to you because you might talk to somebody else.
That's right.
In a nutshell, yeah, it was a little more polite than that, but in a nutshell.
No wonder I couldn't understand it.
Yeah.
It's just
It's
unbelievable.
unbelievable.
Oh my gosh.
But you know what? And I'm going to tell you, Denise, if you have a council member or two council members, even better yet, that are looking into, that are trying to find out what our policies are, and you else, and find out what their policies are, so that we can bring it. We were going to bring it back on the agenda, so we could talk about it out in the open.
Openly with
Openly,
everybody, the
right.
public.
Before we were chastised in private.
Wow.
You know, if your council people don't, your council people don't do that, what good are they? For your children.
That's an excellent question.
It's an excellent question. It
And
is.
why shouldn't we do that? And by God, whether they like it or whether they didn't like it, we were going to do it. Because we didn't get answers where the heck we were at. To the people that were supposed to give us the answers, we didn't get it. And now they got hurt feelings. You're undermining me. You're doing this and that. Well, sorry, dude. Man up. You know, you work in a confrontational environment. Your life is
You're a public
confrontation
official.
with the chief of police.
You're a public official.
Yeah.
Deal with it.
Along
Mr.
with
Chief of
anybody
Police.
that works at the city, if you're the front desk clerk, if you're anyone that deals with the public, you have either been promoted to that area and accepted it, or have hired into that area and accepted that job. And you know, are you gonna? Somebody comes in and complains about their water bill.
first responder.
Are you going to file a harassment charge at everybody who complains about their water bill
Absolutely
or their sewer
not.
bill? Or
Absolutely
how come
not.
the garbage guy passed me up?
This is fabulous. You know, this is
You know,
this is
there's a time you
unbelievable
gotta
to
just
me.
man up and do your job, you know.
That elected officials are being called bullies, are being called creators of
Hostile workplace.
hostile workplaces, a hostile workplace environment,
Got a good story for you there, too.
harassment. That is incredible to me, and yet you're trying to do your job.
That's all it was.
And you had even retired, but you're trying to do your job, and you're trying to do your job as a citizen of the city of Tehachapi, and Ken's trying to do his job as a city council member, and you're working together. You've been involved in government for years.
Well, that had occurred when he was still a council member.
Oh, so you're just
Yes.
both trying to do your job.
Just, that's all they would do.
And you're an elected official. That's what people pay you. That's what the taxpayers pay you to do.
No, that's what they.
That's what they
Well,
elected.
it used to be no pay, but that changed. But
they
it used
pay
be-
you to
it was-
do that.
were
They
elected-
elect you
they
and
elect
pay you to do
and
that.
they expect you to do that.
Exactly.
Sure they
That's
do.
what you're
Absolutely.
elected and paid to do. So, ladies and gentlemen, Barb Reynolds-Wallstrom was there at the event. And I want her to speak to what she witnessed. I have looked at the video, some of the videos, and one of the things that deeply disturbed me was the lack of professionalism on the part of Council Member Susan Wiggins and others. And by unprofessionalism, I mean the attitude that they project, rolling of eyes, rolling their head back, tossing and turning sort of in their seat. I was concerned and really felt sad that the residents of the city of Tehachapi would vote for a person that would act so unprofessional in public at a city council meeting. And may I recommend that a class be taken by individuals on the Tehachapi City Council that will promote proper manners and professionalism in the workplace, I recommend you buy an Amy Vanderbilt book and take a class on how to act properly in the workplace. Sensitivity classes.
Sure.
I heard that the Tehachapi City Council wants Ken to take what they want him to take
Anti-bullying class.
anti-bullying class.
Well, they have to take that every 2 years anyway.
We take that anyway.
Oh, okay.
He's about due anyway. It's
Okay.
So-
Well, let's have the rest of them take how to act professionally.
That's a good idea.
Yeah,
for
class.
the most part, they do.
The
most
videos that I've seen, they didn't.
Well,
And it speaks volumes.
It does. It
Yes.
really bothers me. Go ahead, Barb. What did you witness?
I was there for the entirety of the attorney's presentation. He crafted it a presentation.
The Tehachapi City Attorney was there.
The Tehachapi City Attorney was there sitting and observing all of this while an attorney hired by the city.
it's a risk management organization.
Okay, he was there and he laid out these accusations against Councilman Hetke, and Councilman Hetke is sitting there. He's not represented by any attorney himself. He's having all of these accusations of these precious snowflakes, these accusations that they made against him. The attorney, he's reading those.
Was he advised ahead of time that he
No,
he could get
no,
representation?
absolutely not.
He was not
Absolutely
advised.
not. Ken is sitting there, and these accusations in a public forum, being televised by Channel 23 News
And 17.
and 17 News, and the Tehachapi News, and the Loop newspaper, wherein he was accused of these 6 or 7 or 8, 9, 7 allegations. 2 were found to be unfounded.
Well, people were laughing at the
And
council
yes,
meeting.
they were, because they
The
couldn't
public was
believe that
laughing.
these precious snowflakes had their feelings hurt. These professionals were now accusing him in a formal complaint that Ken was there listening to these accusations being leveled against him. He had no opportunity whatsoever to be represented by an attorney. He had no opportunity to confront any of the accusers there. He had no opportunity to examine the information, this investigator's
not
report from
advised.
which he was, this attorney was
He was
reading.
not advised. Isn't that illegal?
It was a viation of a due process
That's
under
what
the California and United States Constitution. But it was a presentation. Don't forget, they crafted it as a presentation. This was a trial, honey.
Yes.
But Ken sat there. He had no opportunity to say anything, and then he segues into these findings, just like a judge would do.
The attorney does.
The attorney did that. He was then acting as the judge, making findings, and then he put up on these overhead screens what the possible sanctions would be. So he was the judge and the jury. And it was absolutely startling, and I said that. I said, in my 47 years, and I've worked for 2 presidential law firms, so the biggest attorneys in the nation, and I concluded from my observation of all that I had seen, this was as close to a trial as you could get.
Absolutely.
And this man was sitting there unrepresented. It was startling. And I cannot believe they didn't take this, the city attorney didn't, or this lawyer that got up there, who ought to be sued for malpractice in the end. I couldn't believe that he would engage in not a presentation, but a trial when the facts come out, when the videotape of all of this is seen.
Persecution.
It was
harassment, bullying.
Absolutely, it was
not
wrapped up
advised
into one. And what was so amazing was that Ashley Whitmore was on television on the screen, and she was in such glee. Had Had there been any damages, had there been any harm forthcoming to this woman, she would have felt some anxiety as she was talking.
Right.
She
She
would
was
have felt
talking
something.
right in front of Ken
Oh,
Hickey.
she was just as happy as she could be
Ashley
to
Whitmore.
have a photo op.
Ashley Whitmore, she's a fellow city council member.
No, she is the city clerk who accused him. She felt threatened for her job, and she felt intimidated by him, and she weighs about 200 pounds.
What is
So-
her, what is, Barb, what is her position again?
Assistant city, the
Assistant city clerk.
City clerk and.
Okay, so I want to ask a question. So why would an assistant city clerk feel threatened by a city council member that wants to ask questions of the chief of police and the
No,
city?
it didn't go there. Ken
Well,
asked
no.
her to hand a paper to her boss, the city manager, saying that because there was somebody said that went to the elections board and said he didn't live in the city when he ran, you know, and they actually had a picture of the people driving by his house to check him out, you know, but so he wanted to know who that was and should he file charges on him, you know, for lying to the elections commission. Or slandering him, saying that that he didn't work there, that he didn't live there. Anyway, that's where that went. And for some reason, that person was in fear for their
Felt
job.
threatened.
Do you think that was
delivering that
trumped
paper.
up? Do you think that was trumped up by her boss?
Well, that's a conclusion.
Well, you know what?
We don't
Let
know
me
that.
tell you this, Denise. There's only one person with the authority in the city to fire anybody,
Yeah, and that's
and that's the personnel manager, and that's the city manager. Period. Just one person.
no one can
So,
fire anybody except the city manager.
Of all the people, and all the council people that are on that dais,
They can't be fired by Ken
Ken
Hickey.
is the last one that's
Right.
going to be
So-
able to fire
right.
anybody.
So it
why would
doesn't
they make
make
the
sense.
accusation
Right,
that they
right.
fear for their
But you know
job?
what?
Why?
However, if you didn't put those few words in there, that I was feared for my job, then maybe you should start fearing for your job. How about that?
Well, there's nothing to fear here. I'm sure the city manager's not going to fire her, but I want to get back to the situation with Ken Hickey. That was just a trumped up charge. I'm sure that they
It was
just
just
sat down to
embarrassing.
talk about it, and they figure let's juice this up a little bit to make it sound better in terms of attacking Ken Hickey.
But why do
I
that?
want you to, because
Why do that?
They want to get him removed from the city council.
They're sweet snowflakes, and they need to grow a thick skin. That's what life is about, and that's what being a public official is
I
about.
want to know
They're
what law
public officials.
I want to know what law you think they violated again. You said it earlier in this conversation.
Well, I don't know what law they, and I
Well,
can't
we
make
were
that conclusion, but it looked more. That would look like a trial until another trial came along. That's how close it was
But isn't
to
that-
you concluding this is a trial.
But isn't that really, in essence, persecution
It's
and
like a witch
harassment
hunt.
and whatever you want to
Salem
call
witch
it?
hunt,
But
yeah.
isn't there some law in our county of Kern or in the city of Tehachapi or in the state of California? Isn't there some law to protect people that are trying to do their job? For example,
Well, he'll have to get an
laws.
attorney.
We have laws that protect whistleblowers.
Yeah.
Ken wasn't even being a whistleblower.
No,
He
Ken was doing his
and you
job.
weren't trying to
But
be a
he needs
whistleblower
the
either.
city to hire an attorney to ask those questions because the attorney was hired for Susan Wiggins to level the allegations against Ken. The city undertook that representation in costs. So conversely, if Ken needs to find out about exonerating himself, the city he could probably ask the city
Well,
to do that.
I'm not.
We don't know, but
I'm
a
thinking
lawyer
of-
would be able to answer that question.
I'm
for
not
him.
thinking just in terms of exonerating himself. I'm thinking of in terms of turning the tables and blowing the whistle on elected officials who are paid by the taxpayers of the city of Tehachapi, filing a false complaint, and there would be several false complaints that have been filed because somebody is trying to do their job and ascertain what the policies and practices are in the event there's an active shooter because you thought there was an active shooter.
And it was a perfectly innocent question.
So again, I think the bottom line is, and I guess I would look for an attorney that would look at my free speech rights being violated, number one. I would secondly try to find this person, this attorney, who not only would represent my First Amendment rights, but look at what laws or what court precedents have been established to protect a public official who is trying to understand how he can, as a city council member, protect. He's the city council member for District 2. That's his job.
In public.
And the bottom
on statewide television.
And that's a third thing.
That is unbelievable.
The harassment angle. But as a council member, he could be sued by the members of his district if there was an active shooter and he hadn't done everything he could.
He had failed to provide them information.
Right. So all of this is very important. But do you not see the free speech implications? He and Denice, your husband,
it was a chill on that.
We're just trying to
it was a chill on
ask questions to get understanding in order to be the best council members for your respective districts.
And that's all it was. That was their only purpose.
That's deeply concerning
and
to me as a citizen.
And it was taken to the 10th level to be some pernicious conduct that they were engaged in when they were very clear about citizens who had asked them about the preparedness of the city of Tehachapi in the event of an active shooter, which was an allegation that caused the entire school to shut down.
Right.
Right after that Florida active shooter. So people were just in a state of anxiety, very high anxiety, and they asked a very normal question to which Councilman Hetke and Councilman Wallstrom sought a reasoned response from anybody. And of course you go to your first responders first. You go to your city, you go to your local law enforcement, you go to your local school district to try to get some information for your constituents. That's all it was about.
Right.
And when they realized there was this deafening silence, this closed mouth about it, well, they still had an obligation to the constituents to resolve and to calm them. These city councilmen, these conservatives were shut down for that, and one was prosecuted. As far as I'm concerned, he was prosecuted, and wrongfully so.
In a court of public opinion.
If you look at the way it was presented, there were 7 charges. 3 were dismissed. Why bring them up? If you're charged for murder, are you going and you have other charges against you? In court, you only get charged for what you charged for.
That's what made it look like.
But they kept piling those up.
That's right.
You know,
to embarrass him. That's what they did.
Gender harassment.
Slander.
Yeah.
Well,
Slander.
the deal was is that there's
that.
only one woman on the council. So if Ken disagreed with her, that's gender harassment.
And that's
what are you going to do there?
That's absolutely.
What are you going to do?
But they're precious snowflakes.
It happens.
They need to grow a thick skin.
It happens in the classroom. I mean, I've been accused because people have gone on a YouTube channel or Facebook or different social media platforms and discovered who I am. Students, and then they'll call me racist, and they look for anything that I might possibly say. Like if a student asks me a question. Do you support illegal immigration? I say no. I think everybody needs to follow the law. They need to respect the law. They need to respect the rule of law in the United States of America. I'm called a racist, and they take that to the administrator. They've taken that to administrator, and they've tried to get me terminated.
Sure. I've been there.
So yes, I think in this nowadays, anytime you try to stand for law and order or law and order and just doing your job, if anybody ever feels in any way that you are somehow hurting their feelings or violating their beliefs or are not walking lockstep with their values and ideas, they're going to get you in trouble. And I believe this is what has happened. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got to bring the broadcast to a close today. I want to say, you put up my email address, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, if one of you are an attorney and you'd like to step forward and volunteer, work pro bono and win. I don't know if you can win a slander lawsuit or a libel lawsuit or a First Amendment lawsuit, free speech lawsuit. You'd have to look into it. Barbara and Dennis and I, we've been talking about this, and I'd be more than happy to forward that information on to Council Member Ken Hedke.
And have him come on the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, please know that I have an invitation, a standing invitation, to Representative Council Member Ken Hedke, and he's welcome to come on the broadcast. And I know, I believe, and based on what we've talked about in the past, he will at some point in time when he's ready. But again, I want to thank Dennis Wallstrom, former city council member of the city of Tehachapi, and I want to thank Barb Reynolds Wallstrom, who does a lot of work on behalf of the city of Tehachapi and is the owner and president of Tehachapi Court Services, knows the law, knows how to help. I think anybody, you could help anybody.
Well, if I don't, I know to whom to refer them.
Okay. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great, wonderful evening, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back with you tomorrow. This is Denice, signing off.
Thank you for listening to The Denice Gary Show. Intelligent Talk Media.